What's up, Mr. fucking Desert Dime?
What is going on, guys, and welcome back to part 2 of this brake rehab we have going on with the 2nd gen Tacoma. So if you watched the previous video, you already know what's going on. If you haven't watched it, let me fill you in real fast. So my truck has been having some problems with the brakes lately, on and off, for probably since like New Year's. It's been fixed, it's come back, all these kinds of stuff. So I decided, you know what, it's time to do a whole brake rehab. In the first part of this 2-part series, which I worked on yesterday, I added extended brake lines to the rear of my truck because I have a brand new kit going in the rear, which is doing a shock relocation hoop, which is fitting a larger shock, a 12-inch shock, and I need longer brake lines for when it droops all the way out. So I put extended brake lines in the rear yesterday, and I thought that would be a great opportunity to flush my entire brake system, the lines, get new fluid in there and everything, because my brakes have been going soft on and off. I'd fix it, it would come back, blah, blah, blah. So I stepped up to a .4 fluid. I flushed the entire system, got all the air out, got all the old fluid out, which was like a shade darker than apple juice. So it was kind of bad. And now I got new fluid in there. So now that we have part 1 of the video done, today's video, part 2, is gonna be a lot more fun. But before I show you what we are working on today, I wanna remind you guys that we are shooting for 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We are at about 800 right now, so it is easily obtainable, and I think we could surpass that before the end of the year. So if you are into off-road content, if you are into Tacomas, go ahead and subscribe, because we have a lot of content coming out, especially with this new rear kit that's going in later this week. All right, with my little plug done, it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of today's video. So there's this brake company called R1 Concepts that makes all sort of brake components, calipers, rotors, pads, brake lines, all this stuff. They are a one-stop shop brake company. So I saw that they were having a 25% off sale, and I made an impulse buy on some new rotors, slotted and drilled rotors, and some off-road performance brake pads. If you guys watched about 2 videos ago, I did a whole build breakdown, walk around on the vehicle for people that had questions and were curious about the build and setup I had on my vehicle. And one of the things I mentioned in that video is when this is drooped all the way out, this upper control arm hits the coil. And now you guys can actually see it right there. Right there, it's just touching, you know, casually touching the coil. Well, if you guys are curious about the build, wheels, tire specs, suspension, everything, exhaust, go watch that video, check it out. And if you guys are more curious about this hitting thing and have solutions or answers or know what's going on, go over there, check it out, and leave me a comment, because I need to figure this out. I'm already having a lot more fun doing today's project versus yesterday's. Yesterday's was so frustrating to do. And I think a majority of that is to do with just the tight space I had to work in, being like behind a vehicle, you know, or not behind, under a vehicle with no room, especially because I'm like 6 foot. So it was kind of frustrating, but yeah, definitely having more fun doing this project already. A lot more room to work with and a lot easier so far. So we'll see. Oh, this one came out like butter. This one, however, little tense. Oof, don't break on me. Everything in here has an excessive amount of brake dust on. You saw I barely just touched 2 pins and 2 rods, and I am already covered in brake dust. So essentially you just pull this retention clip off, pull these pins out of the brake pads, and then you have one more retention clip on the front. Now we just gotta push the pistons outward. All right, now we can slide these out. Honestly, I don't know anything about brake pads. I feel like I would, if I had to guess, this entire pad gets used all the way down to the plate. So I'd say these still have a lot of life on them, but I'm just not stoked with sort of the performance of them for what I'm doing off-road. The whole back plate of this one fell off, dude. Okay, so now that we have the pads out, we got to take the entire caliper off, and there's a brake line attached to it, so we're just going to undo this bolt, 12 millimeter, and kind of bungee it out of the way so we can pull the rotor off. I have no idea how that guy got in there. Like, I was watching his video, and he's like, it didn't look like he had anything in the way, and I'm like, how did you not have this brake line in the way of the bolt? Oh, you know what? It's because he didn't do that one. It's because he did this one right here. That makes sense. I'm telling you, breaker bar is one of the best investments you can make. I remember trying to work on my truck before having a breaker bar, and that shit was frustrating. I would hurt my shoulders and my back so much trying to break certain screws and nuts and stuff. Now we need to break 2 17 millimeter nuts on the back of the caliper to release it. Okay, you guys are in the way. Can you please just move? Thank you. Yeah, if you're not using like an impact or a breaker bar, this seems nearly impossible. Make sure you know where you're hanging this from before you take it off, because now I am struggling and I'm not having a good time. Okay, now pray it doesn't snap. I need to grab another one. Okay, got the pads out, caliper off, caliper hanging, pistons pushed in. Now all we got to do is I think just pull the whole rotor off. I don't think there's anything else holding it in. I think we're just pulling it off. Now the problem is with all the rust and miles you put on this, they tend to stick in. And they got these little screw holes where you screw a screw in and it pushes it away and like breaks it essentially if it is stuck. I don't have a screw that can go in there, so I think you could also just kind of like give it some love taps on the back. I got a rubber mallet. I'm gonna try that method so I don't have to run all the way to the store to buy a damn screw. So, wish me luck. Well, the guy I watched that did it, he didn't use a rubber mallet. He used like an actual straight up hammer. I'm gonna see if I can get away with a rubber mallet. Okay, rubber mallet's not working. Okay, dude, I went to fucking town on this rotor. You could see right all along this ledge right here. I literally just abused the shit out of this rotor, but this thing is not coming off. it is still seized on there so hard. So I'm gonna have to go to the store. And I'm waiting for all these professional mechanics in the comment section to get mad that I just beat the shit out of this rotor instead of just going to the store and getting the bolt in the first place. I'm here to make people mad. Okay, there's something to be said about being persistent, guys. I didn't take the easy way out. And I was also very lazy and didn't want to drive to the store, so I just beat the shit out of this rotor with the rubber mallet until it broke loose. That thing is on there. Yeah, I think it was a little rusty in there. I think it was holding on for dear life. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you have all been waiting for. Look at that, dude. It's so bright, it just pops like bam! So when it came to purchasing these, I think they also have a black option, which I never saw on the website. I just saw these, so I went with them. And I don't really mind them. I think they'll poke out and kind of show off behind the wheel a little bit, so that's cool. Dude, these things are beautiful. Damn. Okay, let's move on to the pads. Okay, the pads are in now, and this kind of makes me bummed out that I didn't get calipers too. Not that it's in the budget right now, but like it just would look so much better with the all new everything. But yeah, pads are in, rotors are on. I'm just gonna clean everything up, tighten everything up, and we'll catch up in a second. And since I'm very particular about my torque specs, especially when it's gonna come to brakes, the two 17mm bolts on the backside that hold the caliper on are 90 foot-pounds of torque. Just thought I'd let you know. Okay. Oh, I just got the whole wheel on and remembered I didn't put the hubcap back on. Anyhow, minus the hubcap, this is the final product. I think that gives it an amazing look coming from behind the wheel. It does really blend well with the paint and with the little bolts for the bead lock. So I think that is so damn gorgeous, dude. This is probably the second easiest install I've ever done on any vehicle, from Jeeps to Tacomas. The first being side steps, you know? So super simple, super straightforward. There are even times where I'm like, dude, I gotta be missing a step, just because it was that easy. And I'm pretty thrilled with how easy and how well everything went together. Actually, this video is not over. I do need to break them in and let you know how these brakes are feeling, because that was the whole point of this two-part series, is to get my brakes back to feeling top-notch and able to be taken off-road. So let me finish buttoning everything up, and then I'll catch back with you guys in a few hours once we have the brake pads broken in and we're driving. All right, we're at like an industrial business park after hours, so there's no one here, and it's just a little road between all the businesses. And essentially the braking period is go 40 miles an hour, do hard braking just till about you stop, and then go 50 miles and brake as hard as, like, just to about the ABS engaging, down to 10 miles an hour and then do that 4 times, and then go 65 and slow down to 15, I believe. And then that's it. And then you just let your truck sit for about 20 minutes to cool down. So we're gonna do that right now. And I'll let you guys know how it feels after. This smells so bad. It's a mixture of brake pad wearing off and like the coating they have on it. So you see before I was like a matte, like almost gray, and now it's kind of all wearing off and you have the actual like alloy behind it. It's that melting off mixed with brake pad, so it smells disgusting. But we did the break-in period, and now they say for the next like 400 to 500 miles, I think, it's gonna be kind of like wearing away some of that stuff and whatnot, and some coloration changes and stuff. So in 400 to 500 miles, then it'll be looking how it's supposed to and ready and prepped. Okay, I'm recording this part maybe a few days to a week after the rest of this video was filmed, just because I realized I left some things out and I kind of wanted to just wrap it all up real nice and neat. So I didn't go over kind of how the performance felt because it was just after the break-in period. I didn't have a lot of days driving on it. But now that it's been about a week, the braking has improved so much, like a lot. Almost like I just got it off the showroom floor. You know, it's way stiffer, way earlier on in the pedal, and it holds that stiffness all the way to coming to a dead stop, and I love it so much. It feels so much better. I also wanted to show you guys the rotor after it's had a good number of miles put on it now. All the coating is wore off. This is what it looked like before, sort of like that matte look and finish, but now all that coating has been, you know, kind of worn off and it's all settled in now, and it's just looking, it's looking premium, dude. Like slotted drilled with this sort of alloy color looks amazing. Now, the one thing I also didn't show in this video, which I realized, is when it came to taking off the old one, how I was hitting right here on the rim. I didn't use a rubber mallet the entire time. I switched over to an actual hammer and hit on that rim all the way around the whole thing multiple times, maybe like 5 or 10 minutes each side, and then I took the rubber mallet and hit the face of it to kind of break it loose. So I didn't just use the rubber mallet the entire time. I actually took a real hammer to it for quite a bit. There's a video of that on my Instagram if you want to check it out. And I kind of regret calling this whole brake thing a 2-part series because there is a third thing I was going to do that I forgot to mention and have not done yet. But I'm going to come back here to the drum brakes and I'm going to pull the face of it off and adjust the boot a bit because I know the boot needs to be adjusted, and hoping that will help me with a little bit more of the braking. And that's going to be a whole nother video. So it's actually going to be a 3-part series. I already did the flush, the new rotors, the pads, the extended brake lines, and now I'm gonna mess with the boot in a different video, so stay tuned for that. Also, a little sneak peek of what's coming up in this next week. Another video I worked on today, we ripped off the leafs and the coilovers, and this thing is on jack stands on all 4 corners because I am sending everything in to get rebuilt tomorrow. So again, there is a lot of video and a lot of footage coming out within the past week and these upcoming weeks, so stay tuned, subscribe, and check out all the great stuff we got coming up, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.